All right, we'll start. So welcome everybody. I'm really excited for tonight's program. This is the second year 2022 face-to-face series. We have a lot of great programs coming up. And we're really excited to start it off with Bearcamp Bikes and their cool initiative that they got going. So thanks for doing this tonight, you guys, starting us off, and for doing this super cool thing that makes us all feel really proud of you. So go for it. Thanks, Ned and Eric.
Thanks, Amy. Well, we did a little bit of a discussion about how we wanted to start, and I guess we'll start at the beginning. So December last year, I finally decided to start a free bike shop in earnest. I have been working on bikes since college. That was one of my work program jobs, and I am very passionate about saving bikes from the landfills and getting everyone riding them that wants to. For those who don't know me, I grew up in Tamworth and moved back after college. I've been fixing bikes in various sheds and not ideal places for quite a few years. And then last December, I decided to ask a friend, Katie, if she knew of anywhere that I could move into that was a bigger space. And she was gracious enough to let me use one of her barns in South Tamworth. And I didn't have much of a plan. I just wanted to see what would happen, really. Start taking in old bikes and giving them away for free. And I wanted it to be as informal as possible, because I wanted to spend all of my time actually working on bikes and giving them away instead of doing administrative things. And long story short, it took off. I had no idea it would do this well. And it's been an absolute blast every day. I think about it every day, and I end up over at the bike shop most days because I enjoy it so much. Even today, I was over there.
It's unheated.
Yeah, it's unheated. We'll show you some pictures
really
later.
lights.
Yeah, I use a headlamp sometimes.
But it works.
Yeah, so pretty early on, Ned caught wind of what I was up to.
No, you came over and said, you called me up.
Well, yeah, you met Shannon in the grocery store, and
Okay.
you had heard something about what we were doing.
Yeah. And then Eric said, hey, do you want to? Yeah, I think Shannon kind of said, I think Eric has a proposal for you or something like that. And then Eric called me up and said, do you want to do this thing? And so somehow our roles have worked well because he's far better at fixing bikes.
I have far more experience. Let's not say better.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I loved Eric's wordsmithing. But I could bring a little bit of, I don't know, organizational stuff. Like,
yes.
Like Eric likes this form that I'm good at creating forms and filling in forms and stuff. And we needed a form for it. So I put that together pretty easily. It came easily for me. So you know, the various skills mesh well.
Yeah, we've been finding that people that are interested have their own skills and their own little niche, and everyone seems to fall into place so far. And if they don't, they kind of fall out of our orbit, and that's fine too. We're happy for any help. So yeah, I primarily work on bikes and talk about them ad nauseum. And Ned does a lot of our community outreach. He posts all of our stuff on the exchange, and what little financial recording that has to happen, he does. And then Clark he joined us in the springtime, and he does a lot of finding of bikes for us, and he does a lot of delivering bikes to people's houses. And he's also a bit of a bike historian, so we get a lot of strange things donated to us, and we're always curious where they came from and what the idea was in the manufacturing of them. And then another core volunteer, Jerry, joined us in the springtime, and he used to run a bike shop in Arizona, so he's our super professional bike mechanic, and we send him all the hardest stuff. And then it comes back beautiful and working, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And then Ed Cronin was involved from pretty early on as well. So all these people began to just sort of filter in. My memory of last winter and spring was that, you know, I got started with Eric a little bit on this, and then I would come by the barn and there was this guy, Clark, like hanging around with his gray pickup truck and just doing all this stuff and making runs to the transfer station with the old rotten tires that were no good, and old frames that, you know, really did deserve to go into the recycling steel bin. And Clark was just always there and cleaning up and helping out and tuning some things, doing some tire changes and all that. And so, and then other people just started sort of being there, and I was there sometimes, but not always, and lots got going. Let me just share though a picture of where it started. So Eric, you can.
Right, yeah. So this is the bike shop. This is very early on. Old barn in South Tamworth, and we had just finished cleaning out a small section of it, and I got really excited and built that bench, and started hanging up tools on the wall. And then I pulled some bikes out of the woods that I had stashed for a while, and so you can see there's still snow encrusted on them. So that was the beginnings. One thing that surprised me was how many people had tools that they were willing to give me to get started. We spent very little money on tools, even specialty bike tools, because people just seem to have them and they come out of the woodwork the more the word spreads. So now we really have a full shop and can do just about anything with bike repairs because of that tool selection. This was an early Sunday. We decided to host open shop hours on Sunday afternoons this summer, well, starting in April. So this is my mother and I test riding a tandem bike, which was great fun. It was my mom's first time on a tandem bike, and she really enjoyed it.
And she was there cleaning, helping clean up bikes. A lot of them come out of strange places, and a lot of them are pretty dirty. But I mean, look at the curves on that bike. I mean, that is just, you just don't see things like that anymore, that commonly. So one of the things we really enjoy is just discovering, having things come out of the woodwork and discovering all of these old designs, and how well built some of them are. Some of the older bikes are just so well put together. They were made to last for 50 years or however long they've been around. And I gotta say that one of the most exciting things about this is that discovery that we have, and then also just the outpouring of support in terms of donations of bikes. And it feels like the community has these metal things hanging in our barns and in our sheds that we have a little bit of attachment to and we haven't wanted to get rid of. And this opportunity, we didn't know we were creating this, or maybe Eric did, but I didn't.
I had no idea like this, yeah.
That you're sort of like, we're giving people a reason to part with that thing which they had a connection to. And we've got, you know, there was a woman in Moultonborough who lived overseas, lived in Japan. I went over to pick up the bike because she wanted to donate it. And she was very thoughtful about it and, you know, appreciative of the opportunity to give a bike to what she saw as a good cause. We think it's a good cause too. And but she obviously had a really deep connection to the bike. It was one that she had ridden when she was working in Japan for a bunch of years. And she brought it all the way back and had it in Sandwich and used it some there. And now she could no longer ride. And it was just poignant to sort of be taking that responsibility of here's something that she was very attached to, and have that responsibility of then, okay, we're going to fix it up and it'll move on to somebody else. And it did, who could appreciate it and use it.
Yeah, there's so many stories that come along with each of the donated bikes. And for reference, so we haven't kept super good track of it, but we have been given about 300 bikes this year by my estimation. And everyone has a story, and some of them because the people tell you. Some of them are very mysterious, and some of them are really fun to work out, because you'll think that the bike is stock from the bike shop, and then you'll start noticing these really weird repairs that have gone on over the years to it. And so it's a little like CSI.
So this is a photo of somehow somebody came up with the idea of going to the farmer's market. It ended up being sort of the most one of the most fun things and sort of the most visible things we were doing. Obviously, having Sunday afternoon open houses was fine. We were trying to keep it really simple and not commit to too much so that we could continue to have fun. One of the things Eric stressed to me was we've got to keep having it be fun, not be too much responsibility. And that fit well with my life, certainly, because I didn't want to take on too much additional responsibility, have to be at certain things. So Sunday afternoons, once a week, that seemed manageable when there were several of us who could cover. And then going to the market has been great. And we've really got to thank Annie Burke and Bob Streeter and Peg Loughran, the market operators, for their support and having us there. They say it spiced up the market a little bit, gave some additional visibility, and certainly helped us. And this is our earliest poster with our little logo back there. The beauty of being at the market, it was an upside and a downside, was we were right next to Paul, the vendor of the best fish tacos you've ever had, and he would be cooking them all morning, and we were getting hungry all the time. So we certainly took advantage of several fish tacos over the time.
And yeah, it's really fun when you have a whole truckload of bikes there and people are walking by and they're expecting to have to pay for them. And then you're like, hey, you want a bike? And it's free, and their eyes get big. And then they start looking around and seeing what might fit them well. And it's really fun to shift people's paradigm a little bit, that some people could just be doing this for kicks and there's really no strings attached.
Yeah, that is one of the other discoveries I certainly had. And I feel like all of you who are interested, I think next summer we should basically, just an idea being considered, right, just being born right now, which is people sign up for shifts to be at the farmer's market, because it really is a fun experience to give something away, right?
Yeah.
And so as Eric was saying, I'd be out there, people walking by and they'd be looking at it and all that, and we were just starting to say free bikes, because that was describing what we were doing, free bikes. And that's how the banner got born. Gabrielle helped put together the banner that's behind us, and free bikes was the message, because that's what we had found we were saying at the farmer's market all the time, to get across what this was about. And it was always a double take. When people heard free bikes, they were looking back, oh, free, yeah, if you want any of these bikes, just grab it, and go away with it. And that's it, no strings attached. And all kinds of things came out of that. And that was really fun. I mean, so again, if people want next summer, sign up for a shift at the market and get that experience of saying free bikes and seeing how people react and going, yeah, you can have that one. You can try that one. You can bring it back next week.
Yeah,
you can bring it back tomorrow, whatever, and then try another one, because it's all free. So there's no transaction money or
return
policy
yeah.
or whatever. It's just like, we actually think, there was probably one or two maybe who were coming in repeatedly and taking bikes and maybe selling them, who knows? I mean, but that's fine in a way. It took us a minute to sort of get used to that concept, like, so somebody's making some money on the work we're doing. But then it was like, that's fine. If they're entrepreneurial enough to then go out and make a little money themselves, and that's just expanding the reach of this.
Yeah, and it's still getting bicycles on, into people's hands.
It's still getting people riding bikes.
Yeah, we started realizing that because they were free, there are so many more opportunities. Like, I start telling people that, if they're hemming and hawing about taking a free bike from us, I say, well, just try it out. And you can take it home. You can bring it back to us if you don't like it, or you can give it to someone else. We really don't care as long as somebody enjoys it. And so we started considering like ourselves almost more like a library.
Right. So this was one of the early sort of spring donations, a kind of a gold mine of bikes that came out from Andrea and Crosby. An old barn, old shed, 17 bikes fit in the back of, is that your pickup truck?
No, I think that was Donnie Johnson's.
That was Donnie Johnson, yeah. It's a little bit bigger pickup truck. And so 17 bikes donated, some real classics from the 80s. And so far, the oldest bike that we've had come in, which was a 1949 Raleigh with steel connectors for the brakes rather than, the flexible cables that they use now.
That was a different, wasn't it?
That was a different bike?
That was a different one.
This one didn't have that.
Yeah, that one had the cables, but the oldest one was the 49 Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, that bike had a license plate on the bumper that said BC, and we asked Crosby about that. And he said, yeah, my grandmother, this was her bike, and she had it at Vassar College. Back then in the college days, they put license plates on bikes, and you registered your bike with the college when you were a student. So 1949 Vassar College bike, going back to Vassar College this year, all fixed up, tuned up by Eric.
Yeah, and Jerry did a lot too.
And Jerry did a lot because there were some parts. I mean, Jerry is actually at this point manufacturing little parts because you can't find some of the old parts that he
takes so there's some old styles of brake cable ends that you just can't make a new one work with, and so he has this method of taking a 22 bullet casing and putting it on the end of a cable and then soldering it on, and it works, and it's brilliant. And we love him for that.
And several bikes have that little fix on it. It should be a patented Jerry fix or something, but
open source Jerry fix.
But it's open source, exactly, because it's all free. So anyway, that bike's going back to Vassar College this year. Hopefully, it'll get ridden around there and feel at home. Another
fun thing that happened as word of mouth spread is we started receiving mystery donations, and it still happens. Because if we go to the farmer's market, we tell 20 people about where we are, and if they want to donate a bike, they can go ahead and drop it off. And so every few days you go by the bike shop and there'd be a couple bikes hanging out outside that you had no idea where they came from. So it's a treat to find them.
So as we keep going here, we've taken a bit of time, and we want to invite you to start interrupting and ask questions as we go forward. So, feel free to, I don't know, all the different things. There's chat. Oh, look at that. There's chat. We can start looking at that. And that's a good way to do it. You can also just speak up, because I think, and you can unmute yourself when you need to do that.
What else do we want to talk about?
Well, we mentioned that Crosby and Andrea, in that one pickup, we got 17 bikes there. What was the other biggest one, though?
A guy from Freedom named Kevin. He has been scouring the Freedom dump for a while, and he's given us 25 bikes so far, in various stages of repair or disrepair. And then, so there's actually a lot of people that are kind of traditional dump pickers that have their eyes out for us. And that's a lot of our bikes get picked out of transfer stations in the area, in the county, which I love. I absolutely love that we can divert them from the waste stream and make them usable.
So Eric, can you jump back like a half a step and just tell us a little bit about the bike program at Sterling and what you did there?
Sure. So Sterling College, where I went for my bachelor's, there was, and still kind of is, it's always evolving, a bike program, and it's very free form. there, so there's a menagerie of bikes, and hopefully most of them are working during the semester. And so we would find bikes from anywhere, be it a snowbank or free on the side of the road, and fix them up and then paint them green. And so the deal was, if you were walking around campus and you saw a bike that was painted green, you could pick it up and ride it. You didn't have to sign it out or anything. And then when you were done with it, you would just leave it where you were, and somebody else would pick it up and ride it. And that's how the program went along. And I really loved being a part of that. And that's what really got me started on this kick. It became problematic when I was moving often from apartment to apartment, and I had a whole truckload of bikes I had to bring with me. So I pared down for a while, and then I had a rule that at my house that we built in the shed, I could only have 2 at a time. And that also got frustrating. That's one of the big pushes that helped me ask Katie if she had a place that we could do this.
It does take space.
It takes a lot of space.
Yeah. We see that Joe and Ann have their hand up. Unmute. Ann?
Yeah, I've done. Well, thank you for that presentation. That's very interesting. I wish I had known about you at well, it was a long time ago. I was trying to get rid of some bikes, and I think I took them to the transfer station.
Well,
anyhow, have you tried to get grants for this thing?
We haven't. People give us cash donations
They do.
frequently, and our expenses are incredibly low. So we really haven't run into any financial difficulties.
Okay, and it's very rude of me to ask this.
Sure.
Do you have another job?
Yeah.
Do you do that? I mean, you know, a lot of us would like to do this, but unfortunately, we can't all, you know, a lot of us have to expend our energy earning a living. How do you manage?
I work in construction.
All right.
And I just do this in my free time.
It's a spare, in other words, it's a spare time thing.
It's a hobby, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
Oh, it's a very, now, have you been able to quantify in any way the benefits that this is incurring on, you know, the usage that people are making, the amount of air pollution the bicycles are saving and that kind of thing?
I've thought about it quite a bit. There's a few easily quantifiable numbers. So if you look on Craigslist these days, the average adult sized bike is about $150. And we've given out close to 200 at this point. You can do that math easily.
So you think there's a lot of people who are riding bicycles that you've made or reconstructed that would not have had bicycles if you hadn't done that. That's the point, right?
Yeah, and some for financial reasons, and some because they just didn't know they had their perfect bike waiting for them.
Yeah, because I think one of the good things about it is it's saving pollution and encouraging people to ride bicycles.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I used to ride a bicycle, I don't think I could anymore, but one of the reasons I stopped riding was because my bicycle was falling apart. And I didn't have anybody to fix it. So
yeah, so we also offer free tune-ups. You don't have to give us your bike. We can
that's wonderful
for you and then give it back to you. And we did almost 100 of those this year too. So another quantifiable point is I don't know the going rate for a tune-up these days, but it's at least $60.
Oh, it's very expensive. It's more than the bicycle is worth usually.
Yeah, especially the ones we deal with.
So that's part of what we've discovered overall is that that we can't really predict, and we've discovered people have different obstacles as to why they're not using their bike. And sometimes it's just, I hadn't really thought of it, and I hadn't tried pulling it out for a while, or it has a flat tire, or some of the things are we think are pretty simple fixes. And yet I can, having experienced it even with my bike, but also with other things, it's like some relatively small thing can keep you from doing something that's good for you and healthy and all that, right? And so people bring in, and ends up being a pretty simple fix for us, but it gets them going again. So that's really the goal, is just to always have available a service that allows people to get out biking some more.
Well, that's wonderful.
And it can be either it can be either replacing their bike with another one, or it can be tuning up the one they have.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Anna.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Another thing too is I'm not sure if you're interested in it, but every once in a while we get really nice adult-sized tricycles that are wicked fun to ride around.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff.
We actually have one right now. I've been enjoying riding around the barn.
Yeah, some of those unusual things. Trailers. We've had several of those. Bike stands for doing stationary biking inside.
Tandems.
Tandems, yeah. So we've had a lot of fun with those. Isaiah mentions that asked if we talk a little about what people use the bikes for. Isaiah, I guess that means what do we see people around here using the bikes for?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that it's everything from sort of recreation to getting things done, to just functional everyday things, to, people of different ages, people in different situations. Obviously, you don't necessarily know, but I'm sure you hear stories and stuff about what people are looking for a bike for, because bikes do so many things.
Yeah. So we definitely give away a lot of kids' bikes. So we assume they're riding around the yard, maybe hopefully making jumps and that sort of thing. I've given some bikes to people with DUIs, so that's super useful, obviously, especially when you live in a rural area. And people wanting to get back into shape, that's a big reason. People tell us anyways. Then we've given some to Starting Point in Conway. Then that's another mobility thing usually. And then also to kids whose mothers are at Starting Point. I don't think we've sent anyone on.
Sorry, could you just say what Starting Point is? I don't know.
Do you know what it officially?
Starting Point is a women's sport community and shelter, as I understand it. But anybody out there, please correct me if I'm off on that.
So just to add a little bit, I believe it's a center to support male and female who are experiencing domestic violence.
Yeah.
Right. Great. Thanks.
And sometimes families are involved, so kids are involved, and so several, a bunch of bikes have gone in that direction to help make those kids' lives better. Yeah, so that would be the different communities, different uses, who the bikes are going to. I think we don't really have a good whole handle on it, but we certainly occasionally see Bearcamp bikes being used, and it always makes us happy. A lot of them have a little sticker on them. We haven't been getting a sticker on all of them, but
yeah,
many of them do. And so we do see them out and about every now and then.
So I love this question from Chris. What are some of the challenges you are facing right now with this program? So personally, I think our biggest challenge right now is giving away bicycles. Not many people are excited about riding a new bike in January. So we're developing a bit of a stockpile, which hopefully will go away in the springtime. Yeah, I think that's our biggest thing right now.
Yeah, it's been interesting how the balance has gone up and down, and we've been lucky in that we've usually had enough bikes to be giving them away every week. By the end of the summer, we were getting a little sparse and a little behind. Yeah. Mostly because Eric was gone for part of the summer.
Yeah, it was like so we were doing the farmers market every Saturday, and it was really exciting because we got to give all these bikes away, and it's just a really good time for us to be there. And so on Thursday or Friday, I get out of work like, oh no, we don't have anything to give away. how can I slap together 10 of these things so that we can go to the farmer's market again?
Yeah, we want to show up with a variety of sizes and types to please people. There was one jeton, that blue jeton that weighed a ton. Did that ever get gone?
No, it's still there.
It's still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a real deal. We might pay you to get this bike because it's been there so long. So there was a mention here by Polly that we had an offer. We've had offers to do presentations like this. We'll let you know that this you're here for like the first real public presentation we've done other than the market and that's because we don't want this to get too big. And so we've had offers to do an NHPR story or to do something in the Conway Daily Sun and WMWV. You know, people are approached. It's great. People feel like this is a neat entity and thing going on, but we don't want it to get too much and too big and too pressured because we don't want that pressure. So selfishly, we're keeping it kind of to, Tamworth sandwich right now. I mean, certainly we don't mind the word getting out and other people coming and Ospey and I mean, people are coming from all over and we're getting bikes from all the towns around, but we don't want it to get really, really huge too fast because we want to maintain it. And I'll mention then, about the donation thing, just to make it really clear. We've always told everybody, this is not a nonprofit. We're a bunch of individuals just doing this. And the reason for that is to date that we haven't wanted to get into the complications of that and, having to submit an annual report. Not that it's very much, I've done it for years for the other work I do, but, keeping it simple was the goal. And as you may have seen in our recent end of year email, which is on the exchange and the sandwich board, we've tracked the money that we do get. We do use it and want to use it responsibly and show people where their money is going when they do donate. And we took in almost $4,000 in cash donations along with all the bikes that have been donated, which is huge. The community support, we appreciate it very much from many of you and others. And that money goes to buying parts. Tires have been a big thing. All those old bikes don't have good tires on them. So tires have been the big thing. And then some other parts, a new pump, a new stand on which to work bikes, things like that. So we've used the money for real needs and for snacks occasionally as well. Supporting, going to the transfer station and paying for the disposal fees and things like that. So we still have about $500 from last year that will go into the same uses next year. If anybody ever has any questions, let us know about that. We are tracking that.
Hey, Tom Holthe, you have a question, Tom?
Yeah, as far as letting the world know about it, your message should be that not that you guys are going to do it for other communities, but other communities can do this for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That's my ideal growth model for this project. And also, we aren't the only ones doing this. There's many of these around the country. And most of them keep a very low profile, so you never know about them. But yeah, I would love to spread the free bike word around as much as possible.
Yeah, I think Eric's been talking about that, and you're right. That's something that we can, as we have time and energy, we can help promote. We've even thought of, let's provide communities, the offer that we can help them get started, and that's exciting as a concept. Again, it's a matter of time and energy. Anybody out there with ideas like Tom's or whatever, I mean, this is a community activity. Let's keep it community, and it can expand. And if you have organizational skills or you see any particular angle that you'd love to add in, then just let us know. And I certainly feel no ownership of this. It can go somewhere else, and it can take on more angles. We certainly know that bikes are a huge thing. There's so many stories, so many connections, so much human connection to bikes. that's one, and one of the other things that I've been just thrilled with is when we're at the market, every day, every time I'm there, 3 or 4 people really touch me with the stories they have about their bikes. They see, especially when we're dealing with old bikes, we have people come up and they go, that one looks like, or, you know, whatever, it reminds them of something. And then they're telling a story of when they crashed on their bike, when that bike trip they had when they fell in love with somebody, or the bike trip across the country, you know, we all have stories around bikes, or a lot of people do. And hearing those, that's what an honor. It's a thrill.
Hey, we've got a few questions about helmets. Are we giving them away, etc.? And the answer is yes, we do give them away. We've gotten some donations from, was it the Mount Washington Valley Bike?
Yep, so we're part of the Mount Washington Valley Bike Club up in North Conway. They're very organized, and they have grants and they get cases of helmets. And they give them away in kids trainings they do every year. They have bike safety trainings, things like that. All things that we would love to emulate and participate in, and maybe with time and energy we will. But they have kindly donated helmets to us, and we're out right now, but we'll have them again, and
we usually have
give
a few
them away.
around.
So we usually have a few kicking around.
Yeah.
And some people will donate helmets as well. And we know the older ones not as good, so we'll screen them carefully, and we try to make. Speaking of, you know, what we're doing in terms of feeling responsible, we want to make sure what we're giving away is safe. So all the bikes are safety checked carefully. Brakes are working. You know, everything's tuned up well, so we know they'll be safe for riders. And when we can, we give away a helmet if somebody doesn't have one.
We also give away a lot of bike accoutrements. People give us all sorts of fun things like water bottles and racks and helmets and bicycling shoes and safety vests and flags. And it's a real hoot seeing what comes in the door. And we try and give it away just as fast.
So anyone have any?
I could see the spirit of this expanding into other aspects of our lives, like washing machines or
Sure.
I don't know what.
Yeah.
I'd love to do the same thing with kayaks.
Yeah.
That would be so fun. I just don't have time to do it.
You're actually not the first person that's mentioned it with kayaks.
I would be certainly willing to facilitate that kind of thing if anybody is going down that road.
Yeah. So Tom, you bring up something that I had planned to raise as a discussion point, and maybe people here have ideas as well. You know, what should communities have for free, right? Obviously, people have been working for a long time on providing more basic things like food as really almost a right? And that it's something that people should have availability to, no matter what, no matter whether there's an ability to pay. So that's one thing. I think in a way bikes kind of fit in that category. Like communities should have bikes available for anybody who wants it. And that's, I think what Eric was getting at when starting this. Maybe there are other things that, we can be thinking of, should we have available, whenever anybody needs it at no cost.
Well, there's so much stuff in everyone's garages and closets that we, as a nation, we probably have 10 or 20 years worth of consumer goods on hand.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's just sitting there, and God forbid it's, getting chewed up by mice or something.
Yeah.
People need to do with it or do without.
Well, I certainly find that there, it seems like there's a pretty robust trade, and eBay has helped with this, and other things. There's robust trade in used stuff, and I think that's neat.
Yes, like Craigslist is a great example.
Yeah,
but if it's for free, that's even better.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, even just the proliferation of like stuff outside people's houses. This is Katie. You know, stuff on the street. People are trading like mad, more and more.
Yeah.
Things. And clothing has always had that, but
Oh, absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, I mean, there have been thrift shops and stuff, but
We probably have 100 years supply of clothing in our garages and closets.
I see.
Hey, skis. You guys should switch to skis in the winter.
Nah, we got to keep fixing the bikes.
Okay, somebody else can do skis.
Somebody else can do skis, and
Yeah.
we'll be certainly very supportive of it. And
Skates.
I'll be glad to do the form for it.
Yeah,
And,
one of my favorite things, one of my favorite responses, because people have great ideas for ways to improve the bike program or expand it, or other things that should be a program or, you know, a free thing in the communities. Is just to encourage them as much as possible and say, I'm personally don't have the time, but I love your idea, and do it, you know,
yeah,
or find someone else to do it.
Eric's good at saying that, which
Yeah.
is the right response.
And
right?
that's a big part of the reason why Bearcamp Bikes is in the direction it is now, is because the people that have joined it have been interested or able to do a specific thing, and they've been really good at it. And so that's the direction we've headed. You know, we haven't done any group rides or anything like that, because though it sounds really fun, none of us have done it, and and no one else has joined us that wanted to do it, which is fine.
Yeah. Check out the chat. There are some good suggestions there. Polly mentions quality childcare is something that needs to be available for anybody, anytime. Absolutely. And Mary mentions Repair Cafe, which is new to me, so
Yeah,
check
let's
that
check
out.
that
There's a
out.
website link there. And Ricky asks, what about outdated computers for kids or families? Okay, that would be another thing, and getting those rehabbed and available. And again, yeah, there's a need there, and there are people working on that, and I could not be one who would get that done because I'm not computer savvy enough.
Yeah, it's being done through that place in North Conway, the elderly Gibson Center.
Gibson Center does a little.
Did a whole lot of it, and they're working with a group in Maine.
Hmm.
So Gibson Center might not be collecting computers, but they can at least point you to the people in Maine.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I see, does Jim, do you want to say something? Maybe your hand's up there? Maybe it's past?
I think we missed one of Jim's early questions.
Yeah, that was, I wanted to make sure
That
we
was
do
Beth.
hear about that. It's Beth, actually. But Jim's here too, and we are thrilled by, you know, it's been fun to see the whole project taking place. But what's the story with your logo?
What is
Yeah.
the story with our logo?
What is the story with the logo?
Who created it? And I like it.
No, you do? Oh, good. I just sat down, again, I didn't want to spend too much time on anything, so I just sat down and thought about a bike and put it on its side, and was able to just put it together in Word, you know, in a Word document, and then it felt good enough, seemed to get positive response, and that's it, you know. It's now recognizable and associated with us, so we're, you know, good with it for now.
Good.
Keep up the good work.
But what was fun was that Gabrielle then, you know, offered to make a banner, and I was like, okay, so let's do a big logo banner. You know, you just take that logo and blow it up and all that. And she was like, no, and she came up with this whole nother design, which is what's, you know, the banner behind us.
And it was so much fun too,
And it
because
was-
she gave us several choices, and we just simply got to say, oh, I like that one,
Yeah.
and it was done.
And it was done. And again, the thing that we realized was, okay, the logo's fine, you can have that on the banner, but the logo's not the message, right? So we needed to describe what we were doing. And we had been at the farmer's market enough that as I described earlier, what were we saying there? You know, what was the message? It was free bikes. And so she put that on there, big and bold. And, you know, I think it's still what it's about, free bikes.
it's great.
I must say, you know, we can tell a couple more anecdotes, but one of them is that there have been glitches along the way. I think the worst that we kind of felt the worst about was early on, like we were getting bikes in, and we, you know, have them sort of hanging up in there. And Eric had designed and made these nice tags on them, so we had numbers on all the bikes. And then there was a whiteboard that I had donated, and we could put, you know, put the number on the whiteboard, and then here's what needs to happen with that bike. But we started taking in tune-up bikes then too at that point. And then we were going to the farmer's market every Saturday. So there was one farmer's market, I got there, Clark and I were there, Eric wasn't, and we grabbed a whole bunch of bikes that were all ready to go. I take them out and we are giving them away at the farmer's market. And then the next day, Eric was like, do you know where, did you happen to know where, you know, X bike? He described,
there's a red road bike.
he describes the bike. And it's like, I don't know, we probably gave it away. If it's not at the barn, we just probably gave it away. Why? And he goes, well, that was a tune-up for somebody. We're supposed to give that back to somebody. And so
that was a saga. Yeah.
That went on for weeks as we tried to remember. And maybe somebody out in the audience got that bike. We don't need it back. We've worked it out with the owner of that bike. And they never got it back, but we certainly provided them with some.
They got several bikes.
Several other bikes and a good tune-up. And so they were happy in the end. But we still don't know exactly where that bike they had brought in.
And out of that came our much improved cataloging system.
Oh yeah. So we learned from that when that's, you know, continuing.
Yeah. Only lost a little bit of years off my life.
People have asked for your contact information. We can, if you're interested, we can put that in the chat.
Sure. Yeah. bearcampbikes@gmail is our contact.
Yeah, that's it. Again, we're keeping it really simple. There's no phone number. There's no Facebook page. We got one contact way, and that's and of course you can contact us if you know, or you know, look up in the phone book if you want. But yeah, bearcampbikes@gmail.com.
Yep, that's it. And generally I respond and say, hey, I'll just call you. But it's good to start out with the email.
Yeah. So.
Oh, great, you guys. So great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you. It's a community thing. Thank you to Katie for the space that we're using. Thanks to Gabrielle. Thanks to Eric and to Ed and to Jerry and Clark for all the work they've done. To Kathleen, who's helped out a bunch. Margot here when she was in the summer, she helped out a bunch. It's been quite a community effort. I'm sure I've forgotten other people we should be thanking, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's made me so much happier this year to have such a good outlet to pour my energy into.
Well, and I think it makes us all feel really proud, even if we're not involved in it. It's you know, one of those things that makes Tamworth cool. So
Yeah.
really cool, you guys.
Yeah.
And thanks for setting such a good example for the world.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I mean, we do it because it's fun too. So.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
And there are so many other community things happening in Tamworth. You know, this is just one of many, and all those people who are doing those other things are to be applauded as well. So, yeah, good community. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next week, we'll talk to Bob and Peg about the farmers market and how it got started all those many years ago and what their visions for the future are. And so check into that too. We have a couple other really nice programs coming. So
I'd like to throw one more thing out there. I believe there's a 4th of July parade this year. Anyone can correct me if I'm wrong. We would love to see some type of bicycle portion of it associated with Bearcamp Bikes. However, I feel like neither of us is going to have the time to actually do anything about that. So if anybody wanted to run with that, it would be just super duper.
Yeah, we should be able to pull something together.
Yeah.
All together.
Definitely.
yay. You guys rock. It's really great.
Amy, thank you for organizing this. Thanks to the Cook Library for being a great community resource as well. And it's free there too.
Yes,
There you go.
original library.
It's the original free thing, right?
Yeah.
This has been recorded. We will have it on our website eventually or on our YouTube channel. So you can share it around the world.
Awesome.
Woohoo.
Thanks, everybody.
Good
Thank
night,
you
all.
all.
Be safe. Take care.